Chapter 16. Observe the month of Abib, and keep the Passover unto the Lord thy God, for in the month of Abib the Lord thy God brought thee forth out of Egypt by night. And thou shalt therefore sacrifice the Passover unto the Lord thy God of the flock and of the herd, in the place which the Lord shall choose to place his name there. Thou shalt eat no leavened bread with it. 7 days shalt thou eat unleavened bread therewith, even the bread of affliction. For thou camest forth out of the land of Egypt in haste, that thou mayest remember the day when thou camest forth out of the land of Egypt all the days of thy life. And there shall be no leavened bread seen with thee in all thy coast 7 days. Neither shall there anything of the flesh which thou sacrificest the first day at even remain all night until the morning. Thou mayest not sacrifice the Passover within any of thy gates, which the Lord thy God giveth thee, but at the place which the Lord thy God shall choose to place his name in. There thou shalt sacrifice the Passover at even, at the going down of the sun, at the season that thou camest forth out of Egypt. And thou shalt roast and eat it in the place which the Lord thy God shall choose, and thou shalt turn in the morning, and go unto thy tents. 6 days thou shalt eat unleavened bread, and on the 7th day shall be a solemn assembly to the Lord thy God. Thou shalt do no work therein. 7 weeks shalt thou number unto thee. Begin to number the 7 weeks from such time as thou beginnest to put the sickle to the corn. And thou shalt keep the feast of weeks unto the Lord thy God, with a tribute of a freewill offering of thine hand, which thou shalt give unto the Lord thy God, according as the Lord thy God hath blessed thee. And thou shalt rejoice before the Lord thy God, thou and thy son and thy daughter and thy manservant and thy maidservant and the Levite that is within thy gates, and the stranger and the fatherless and the widow that are among you, in the place which the Lord thy God hath chosen to place his name there. And thou shalt remember that thou wast a bondman in Egypt, and thou shalt observe and do these statutes. Thou shalt observe the feast of tabernacles 7 days, after that thou gatherest in thy corn and thy wine. And thou shalt rejoice in thy feast, thou and thy son and thy daughter and thy manservant and thy maidservant, and the Levite, the stranger, and the fatherless, and the widow that are within thy gates. 7 days shalt thou keep a solemn feast unto the Lord thy God in the place which the Lord shall choose, because the Lord thy God shall bless thee in all thine increase, and in all the works of thine hands. Therefore thou shalt surely rejoice. 3 times in a year shall all thy males appear before the Lord thy God in the place which he shall choose, in the feast of unleavened bread, and in the feast of weeks, and in the feast of tabernacles. And they shall not appear before the Lord empty. Every man shall give as he is able, according to the blessing of the Lord thy God, which he hath given thee. Judges and officers shalt thou make thee in all thy gates, which the Lord thy God giveth thee throughout thy tribes, and they shall judge the people with just judgment. Thou shalt not wrest judgment. Thou shalt not respect persons, neither take a gift, for a gift doth blind the eyes of the wise, and pervert the words of the righteous. That which is altogether just shalt thou follow, that thou mayest live, and inherit the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee. Thou shalt not plant thee a grove of any trees near unto the altar of the Lord thy God, which thou shalt make thee. Neither shalt thou set thee up any image, which the Lord thy God hateth. Moses here is reconfirming the need for the festivals that are going to take place, that need to take place within their life every year. There are 2 general categories of festivals, and some people lose track of these. Some people, they're not significant to us as a larger group of people in the world now because we don't celebrate them the same way, but the traditional Jews still do. The first category is that those that are based on the calendar, those that are based on harvesting of the first fruits, those that are 50 days later, those that have something to do with tithing, giving of 1/10 of the increase. Then they have other feasts that deal with specific historical events, like the Feast of the Passover, the Feast of the Unleavened Bread. The Feast of the Unleavened Bread celebrates the night that the people of Israel were passed over by the angel of the Lord that killed all the firstborn of the children of Egypt so that the children of Israel would be able to come free. And there are very specific rules, very intense rules as to what is supposed to happen, when, and how. And Moses is telling them that they need to have these things because their culture, their cultural memory of where they came from, what they went through, why they are separate, why they are supposed to be different than other people, all these things are tied up with these festivals. And although the vast majority of people who will be participating in this reading of the Old Testament will not be celebrating these particular festivals, you need to understand that there still are Jews who do celebrate these and for whom they are critically important as part of their culture. And they have rules to follow, and they follow them precisely. Now, Moses is making the point that these things, they don't change these. That these things are supposed to be celebrated exactly the way the Lord intended, and that if they do that, they will be blessed. And that's the important thing for him to understand, for the people to understand, and for Moses to give. Got to understand, Moses' life now is winding down. The days that he has where he is going to be able to continue to give live personal counsel to these people are rapidly running out. And he's doing his best to make sure that despite that, he is giving them all the counsel as to the things that they need to do so that when they go into the promised land, they're going to have the best shot at being able to make the best return of it. We'll find out that he understands that there is going to be problems for them. But he wants to give them as much advice, as much counsel, as much help to avoid these. He loves these people. He's led these people for 40 years. He has pled with the Lord that they would be spared when the Lord wanted to kill them all because they were stiff-necked and wouldn't listen to anything. These people are largely alive because Moses was a worldly savior to them before the Lord. And now he's trying his best to see to it that they know what to do. It's important to him. It's important to us as fathers. If we knew we were dying, what would we do to tell our children the things that we've learned, the things that we have learned at such great cost after 25, 30, 40, 50 years of life, 60 years, 70 years? What's important, what's not? Looking back, what would we do differently? This is what Moses is trying to do for these people. And he's doing a magnificent job. We'll see how much they benefit from it.